Itaewon tragedy. On the night of the 29th of October 2022, Seoul was glowing. Hundreds of thousands of young people poured into the Itaewon district to celebrate what was meant to be the first full Halloween after the pandemic, a night symbolizing freedom, recovery, and the return to normal life. But within hours, the same streets, once known for their bars, laughter, and music, turned into the site of a national tragedy. In a narrow alley beside the Hamilton Hotel, as two dense crowds tried to move in opposite directions, over 100,000 people packed into Itaewon's maze-like streets. Then, suddenly, the music stopped and the screaming began. By sunrise, 159 people would never make it home. The Itaewon disaster, as Koreans now call it, forever changed how the country views freedom, crowds, and celebration. Halloween was never truly part of Korean culture. It arrived through the foreign community around Itaewon, a neighborhood born beside a U.S. military base and famous for its global nightlife. By the 2000s, bars began hosting costume parties that drew Seoul's youth. No ghosts, no rituals, just costumes, beer, music, and selfies. For many, 2022's Halloween was supposed to be a night of joy after years of COVID restrictions. But freedom, as it turned out, needed structure. No one officially organized the event. No crowd control plan. No clear authority. Local officials in Yongsan district called it a spontaneous gathering, claiming they couldn't close roads or assign special security. That night, only 137 police officers were deployed to Itaewon, while 6,500 were assigned to a nearby protest. By 6 p.m., Itaewon streets were already gridlocked. The narrow, sloping alleyways turned into slow-moving waves of people. Calls to Korea's emergency number, 112, warned that the crowd is too dense, someone might get hurt, but responses came too late. Around 10:20 p.m., in one alley, less than 4 meters wide and 45 meters long, the flow stopped. A single slip triggered a chain collapse. Hundreds fell. Those in the middle were pinned so tightly they couldn't breathe. People at the edges tried to climb walls. Those at the bottom suffocated in silence. One witness said, "I heard a girl scream, 'Stop pushing!' Then her voice disappeared." By 11 p.m., Seoul was in shock. Ambulances lined the streets. Paramedics and bystanders performed CPR on sidewalks. The party street had become a corridor of grief. 159 dead. 197 injured. 3/4 of the victims were in their 20s. 27 were foreign visitors from 14 countries. President Yoon Suk-yeol declared a 7-day national mourning period, saying, "This is a tragedy that should never have happened, yet it happened, in the heart of our capital." The vibrant district, once known for international nightlife, became a memorial of tears. White chrysanthemums covered the subway exit. Across social media, a single question echoed: why couldn't we protect each other? For many Koreans, the pain came not just from loss, but from disbelief. How could a nation that once hosted the Olympics and World Cup fail to safeguard a single night of celebration? The Itaewon tragedy was soon labeled a man-made disaster, because it was entirely preventable. In its aftermath, South Korea launched sweeping reforms. Now, even unofficial gatherings require safety protocols. Cities installed AI-powered crowd monitoring cameras to detect and warn of dangerous density levels. Police, firefighters, and medics underwent retraining for emergency response. By Halloween 2023, over 3,000 police officers were deployed around Itaewon. Alcohol was banned, and entry points were restricted. No loud music, only candles, portraits, and silence. Koreans did not forget. They mourned quietly instead. Scientists later reconstructed the tragedy. They found the crowd density reached 7.6 people per square meter, twice the safe limit. The pressure inside the alley averaged 1,000 newtons per square meter, the same force as a refrigerator pressing down on every square meter of body. Under that pressure for more than 60 seconds, breathing becomes impossible, not from being trampled, but because the chest simply can't expand. A sociologist called it the most expensive physics lesson in modern history. But beyond the numbers, Itaewon left a collective scar and a collective awakening. It reminded Koreans that public safety isn't a privilege, it's a shared duty. Out of grief came resolve to protect, to plan, to care. And each October, when candles flicker once again in Itaewon's narrow streets, people whisper a single truth that now defines the meaning of freedom in South Korea. Freedom isn't just the right to celebrate, it's the right to come home safely. Undas, All Saints' Day. If Halloween in America is a night of costumes and candy, then in the Philippines, the first days of November are something entirely different. A festival of memory, family, and spirits, known as Undas. No monsters, no masks, no tricks, only candles, chrysanthemums, and laughter around the graves. Every year, on November 1st and 2nd, millions of Filipinos leave the cities, returning to their hometowns with baskets of food, mats, flowers, and radios. Families gather at cemeteries, spreading blankets beside the tombs of loved ones, eating, praying, telling stories, sometimes even sleeping overnight. It's part picnic, part prayer, a warm, soulful reunion between the living and the dead. The origins of Undas trace back to the 16th century, when the Spanish brought Catholicism to the islands and introduced Dia de Todos los Santos, All Saints' Day. But Filipinos quickly Filipinized it, blending it with their older ancestral traditions, the belief that the spirits of the departed return once a year to visit their families. So what began as a solemn Catholic ritual became a heartfelt family reunion between two worlds. Ask a Filipino why they bring food to the cemetery, and they'll smile and say, "We don't want our loved ones to go hungry when they come home." Through the centuries, Undas has never lost its sacredness, only gained laughter, music, and a distinct Filipino warmth. Imagine standing in a Manila cemetery on the night of November 1st. The air smells of wax and incense. Children run between gravestones holding balloons, while adults sit nearby eating adobo, the classic Filipino stew. A few friends play cards beside their grandparents' graves. In the days before, families clean and repaint the tombs, plant flowers, and stock up on candles. When the day arrives, they bring lechon, pancit, kakanin, and, most importantly, memories. In one corner, someone prays while smiling at a funny story about the departed. In another, someone gently wipes dust off a headstone and whispers, "Mama, I brought your favorite dish." It's an atmosphere that's hard to describe. Part sorrow, part serenity, part joy, a bittersweet harmony of life and death. At Manila's largest cemeteries, more than 3 million people visit their loved ones over just 2 days. The government enforces Oplan Undas, a nationwide plan for traffic, security, and health services. Bus terminals overflow, markets sell out of flowers and candles, and food vendors around cemeteries do booming business, selling halo-halo, lumpia, coffee, and midnight snacks to families keeping vigil. It's like a Filipino Lunar New Year, solemn yet festive. Of course, it leaves behind mountains of trash, and every year, city workers spend days cleaning up ready for the next Undas. A jeepney driver once joked, "Undas is a sad day, but it's also my best sales day of the year." For Filipinos, Undas isn't just remembrance, it's a declaration of love and kinship. In a modern world where families often drift apart, Undas brings everyone home, the living and the dead alike. Children learn to pray, to hear stories of their grandparents, to understand that family is forever. As one historian put it, if you want to understand the Filipino soul, don't visit their homes, visit the cemeteries on Undas. There you'll see what they truly value: love, faith, and gratitude. Today, Undas is regarded as a living heritage, where 3 worlds converge: Western Catholicism, indigenous belief, and the warmth of Asian family spirit. Anthropologists call it a fusion of memory, a space where the living and the dead coexist. From a social science perspective, it's a powerful example of cultural adaptation. A Western festival transformed into something wholly Filipino, gentle, human, and deeply emotional. It's no wonder UNESCO once described it as one of the world's most remarkable expressions of faith, connecting people across time and space. And as one priest in Manila once said, half jokingly but full of truth, Filipinos don't believe death is the end, they just see it as another reason to come home. La Toussaint, All Saints' Day. There's one day each year when France seems to slow down. The busy streets of Paris grow quiet, cafes empty out, and trains leaving the city are packed. It's not for a festival or a football match, it's La Toussaint, All Saints' Day, when the entire nation pauses to remember those who are gone. There are no pumpkins, no costumes, no laughter echoing in the night. Instead, La Toussaint is a day of stillness and memory, when the French confront death, not with fear, but with grace, beauty, and reverence. On November 1st, millions of people bring flowers to cemeteries, clean graves, light candles, and sit silently before headstones, whispering family news to those who can no longer answer. At Père Lachaise, where Chopin, Oscar Wilde, and Jim Morrison rest, rows of chrysanthemums bloom in white, gold, and violet, covering the grounds like a quiet sea of color. In France, the chrysanthemum isn't a sad flower. It's the only one strong enough to bloom when winter approaches. Its endurance and simplicity make it the perfect symbol of remembrance and warmth in a season of cold. La Toussaint has Christian origins, officially established by Pope Gregory IV in the 9th century to honor all saints. But in France, it blended with older Celtic traditions of ancestor veneration. The French gave it their own touch, solemn yet elegant, spiritual yet aesthetic. Where others mourn, they decorate. Where others fear death, they find poetry in it. If you visit France during Toussaint, you'll witness something quietly moving. Cemeteries transformed into gardens of flowers, elderly couples recounting old stories, and children listening wide-eyed to tales of family and time. Morning bells ring softly through the mist, and by afternoon, families walk slowly between graves, not to cry, but to converse. Here, death is not hidden away. It's accepted as a natural chapter of life. After World War I, La Toussaint took on deeper meaning. Families began bringing flowers to the tombs of fallen soldiers, turning chrysanthemums into symbols of gratitude, peace, and national memory. Today, it remains a public holiday. Schools close for a 2-week vacances de la Toussaint, and florists enjoy their busiest season of the year. More than 25 million pots of chrysanthemums are sold across France in just a few days. Yet, like all traditions, Toussaint is slowly changing. Younger generations visit cemeteries less often, partly because they live far from home, partly because modern life leaves little space for rituals. Still, the candles of Toussaint have never gone out. The elderly continue to light them for their parents, and when their time comes, their children will do the same. A quiet chain of remembrance linking generations together. In a world consumed by noisy Halloweens, the French choose silence, a characteristically French response. Elegant, reflective, and philosophical. For them, death is not an ending, but a continuation of love and memory. As one scholar beautifully put it, if Halloween is the day we wear masks to hide our fear, then Toussaint is the day we take them off and smile at it. Indeed, La Toussaint is more than a religious observance. It's a living, spiritual heritage, where memory endures through flowers, candles, and tenderness. Ask a French person why they still keep Toussaint alive in such a fast-moving world, and they'll probably shrug, sip their coffee, and say softly, because even memories need a day to rest.